Often underestimate how useful the Death Guard Forge World Dreadnoughts are. So in today's video, I'm going to be looking at the tactics and why you should probably get the main Death Guard Forge World Dreadnoughts. I'll be looking at the Contemptor, the Dreadnought, and of course the Leviathan. Now, first of all, for the Contemptor is not that many points. You're going to get 10 wounds at T7 with, of course, a 3-up save. You don't get an invulnerable, which is actually really annoying, and you also don't get disgustingly resilient. Oh, actually, no, sorry. You do have invuln, but it's only against melee, which isn't, of course, that useful. So the way this works is you could focus it for melee. So if you pay 145 points, you get those times 2 minus 4, and you get an extra attack, so that's 5 attacks. However, of course, that still isn't that many attacks, and although you are hitting a 2s at the start, you're probably going to degrade, so it's not the best. I would personally put 2 butcher cannons on, or either a butcher cannon and a melee weapon, and you can fire the butcher cannon as you're moving forward. Now, here's the great thing. So, the 2 wound models are often very strong against Death Guards, and most things in Warhammer are toughness 4. Now, this is why the butcher cannon is so useful, because it's 8 minus 1, 2. So, particularly against, like, Primaris, you're going to be wounding on 2s and killing them in one shot, which is really useful. And of course, you have the leadership nerf, so you don't necessarily need to kill the whole squad. You can just kill 3 or 4 out of a squad of 5, and you've got a higher chance of making the rest run away because of morale. So it doesn't really matter. I think the most important things are either the butcher cannons or the chain claws. I would personally have 2 butcher cannons, and it can sit at the back. It's quite durable, and I think they can put firepower on it, but it's not really going to be worth it because it's not too much of an investment for you, and it can just sit at the back in cover and just be a bit of a pain to kill, so they probably won't bother firing at it. So over time you'll wear them down, and of course you might want to put disgusting resilient on it. It is quite nice, although if you are going for the melee, considering it is really powerful, that flat 4 damage, you've got to watch out for screens. Like, you could easily be in a situation where you can only charge 1 wound, so you can only charge Gretchen. That's never a good thing to be with 5 attacks. It's times 2 minus 4, 4. So I would try and have something else that can clear out the infantry in front. And also, you probably want multiple of them, because otherwise they're going to die quite easily. So the Contemptor's not the best. The Leviathan is the best, which for a lot of reasons, which I will tell later. But first, before we do that, we're going to go and, of course, have a look at the Dreadnought, which is also quite good. So the Dreadnought can, of course, have a butcher cannon. Now, Dreadnought is quite expensive, although with T7 and 14 wounds, it is very nice. And of course, if you give it the disgusting resilient, then it is going to be lasting for quite a long time. So what you might want to do is, I would say, maybe have, of course, because it will come with a butcher cannon ray and a twin heavy bolter. Unfortunately, you can't have melee weapons, although it does start by hitting on 2s. So I would, if you were to have this, have some nice weapons. The ectoplasmic battery is very good, doing that flat 3 damage, will kill pretty much anything, and it still does get to do 5 shots. However, that would of course be instead of the butcher cannon array, which I think is worth it for the reasons that I said before. So I would probably have, if you have like that and a greater havoc launcher, of course greater havoc launcher's got the blast, so if you've got, let's say, a squad of 40 cultists, it's going to be doing max shots, going to be doing 9 shots, wounding on 2s. They're not going to have a save. You're going to kill them instantly. So if you have it with a butcher cannon and the greater havoc launcher, it really helps you have some anti-infantry, both light infantry and slightly heavier infantry, which is probably how I would put it, and get it to sit at the back and just slowly do some damage. Of course, the greater havoc launcher doesn't need to be in line of sight, so it can be sitting quite nicely, quite a bit back. Sitting on a back objective is quite a nice idea, although of course I'm not really sure whether I would take this over the Plague Burst Crawler. Of course, you've got to consider quite a few things. This is more durable, but the Plague Burst Crawler is designed more for Death Guard army, and you have the Plague Burst Mortar, which is a lot better. The greater havoc launcher is only really good for light infantry, whereas the Plague Burst Crawler can sort of do a bit of everything, so I probably would be less likely to take this. And of the Dreadnoughts, if you are to get 4-12 Dreadnoughts, I would certainly recommend getting the Leviathan Dreadnought. So here is the thing with the Leviathan Dreadnought. It can basically have 2 butcher cannon arrays, and although this is how I would put it, although that's 370 points, you're like, that is a lot of points, 370. But you get 2 up save. You can probably find a place in which you will be in cover because you're just going to be sitting from at least 36 inches away. So you're going to be in cover with a 2 up save. You're going to be T8, 14 wounds. You're going to pay that 1 CP to get disgustingly resilient. You're effectively going to be unkillable. You're probably going to be on a back objective as well. So you're going to be you're still going to be useful on a back objective. But 16 shots at A-1/2. If you're playing against Primaris Space Marines, they're starting to have a problem. Whoever you're really playing against, they're going to be struggling because you have the Leviathan Dreadnought. And although that's a lot of points, it is points well spent because it's at 8-1/2. It's sort of good against really any unit because of course you get 16 shots. Even if it's 1 wound, you're still not losing too much, and if it's multiple wounds, you're doing 2 damage with everything that you get through. Of course, the only problem is that it's being AP1, but on the lighter infantry they'll usually have a high save, and on the other stuff it will usually just be an invulnerable anyway, so you'll still get quite a bit of damage through, which is of course still quite nice. You could of course alternatively put 2 Hellforge Sea Drills, but then I don't see the point because all you're doing is you're like doubling the cost of the Contemptor, which already wasn't particularly great in melee, and you're just adding a few more wounds, but it's not really worth it just to have melee. I would have it with those big heavy butcher cannon arrays doing a nice bit of damage. Of course you could have like I wouldn't put a Graflax Goombard or a Soul Burner. Yes, the Soul Burner is quite nice, being able to do mortal wounds, particularly against certain things which are going to have really good invulnerable save. For example, if you're fighting against Custodies, that's a dead Custodian every turn on average, whereas otherwise it might not do that. And of course, if you're fighting things with, like, for example, an Archon 2-up invuln until it fails, it'll just be easier to mortal wound it to death. And of course, mortal wounds are very good against certain things where you're paying a lot for good armor. So I would consider having the Soul Burner, although I would probably usually have the Butcher Cannon Array because it's going to do the damage. Of course, the problem with the Dreadnought is it's very similar, but the Dreadnought isn't T8, and it doesn't get to have 2 butcher cannon arrays, and this is why it is really useful to have a Leviathan Dreadnought. Even I would only have 1. I can't have any, but that's because it's a pain to get. You can always proxy. I'm sure your opponent will be okay with that because it is going to be quite expensive, unfortunately. But it is going to be quite a useful model, so either proxy it or you can, of course, also buy it, of course. It is really useful. I would certainly put one of these in your list. So that's about it for today's tactics video. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe and turn on notifications because I'm going to be putting out more Death Guard tactic videos and trying to do a unit / group of units maybe once or twice a week, and I'm also going to do some news videos to do with Warhammer news, particularly to do with that of Death Guard news because I know you do enjoy that. So I hope you enjoy. Make sure to like and subscribe, but for now, bye.